So as John said, I'm Paul Allen, and I run the Bizdom program in Cleveland. Bizdom is a nonprofit startup accelerator, and I'll talk a little bit about why we call it a startup accelerator instead of an incubator. It's based in Detroit, but our office in Cleveland is fully staffed, and we're basically running the same program that they run in Detroit and Cleveland. This region has a lot of resources. It has what a lot of people refer to as an ecosystem for entrepreneurs and for startups. What does that mean? Well, it simply means that we have a lot of money, we have a lot of programs, educational, and ones like ours that take in entrepreneurs and help them figure out how to grow their business and give them all kinds of training and assistance. We have more of those than many other places in the country, many other places in the world. I myself am from Southern California. I've been in Shaker Heights. I live just outside of Cleveland for 7 years. And I can tell you, I spent many years in the Bay Area, in San Francisco, working in the technology industry. And what we have here in Northeast Ohio in particular, for entrepreneurs, for people that want to start businesses, is really, really a treasure. It's really remarkable. And the number of individuals, the number of investors, the number of organizations that exist to help people with ideas grow businesses is really unprecedented. So you're all going to go on to do amazing things with your careers and education and whatnot, but I think it's just important for you to know it takes a little seeking out, but we have just a phenomenal wealth of resources in this region if you are at some point interested in starting a business. So who here has heard of Dan Gilbert? Raise your hand. Okay. All right, so I want to share with you a little bit about the program, why it was created, and then hopefully we spend more time on Q&A. I think that's where things get more interesting. I'd love to hear it if any of you have ideas for businesses. We can chat a little bit about that. But why did Bizdom come into existence, right? Dan Gilbert had this vision, and his vision was simply, what if we took all the resources that are part of Quicken Loans and part of the 70-some businesses that comprise the Quicken Loans family of companies. These are all related businesses here in Detroit and throughout the country. And what if we take the expertise, the knowledge, the talent in those companies, and we apply it to individuals with business ideas? What would happen? And could we help those founders get further faster and make their dreams come true? So we started the program in 2007 in Detroit and opened the Cleveland office in January of this year. We've invested in 16 companies to date. And the idea is simply we provide a little bit of money, a little bit being $15,000 to $25,000 for somebody to get something started. We layer on a whole bunch of training and workshops, and we connect founders with mentors, and we address any holes that they might have in their skill or experience in order to help them grow their business. It's as simple as that. We call ourselves an accelerator as opposed to an incubator, simply because the term incubator has been around for quite a while, and it's associated with programs that essentially house businesses and house entrepreneurs and let them use a shared copier. We're much more than that. We're very, very hands-on. And we're really focused on helping to transform the city. As you may know, Dan Gilbert is involved as a partner in Rock Gaming, which has opened a casino downtown Cleveland. And he's also the majority owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers and several other sports teams, as well as the arena that they play in. And then we have hundreds of team members for Quicken Loans located in a call center in Cleveland as well, which is a phenomenal investment in the city of Cleveland, as there is in Detroit, where the headquarters of Quicken Loans is. And so there's a real interest in making sure that these cities thrive and transform themselves from a traditional manufacturing region, our city, to one that is full of exciting tech-oriented jobs. And so really that's the purpose of our program, is to attract talented individuals that want to start businesses, technology businesses primarily, and to help them grow. So I put the slide up here just to ask you some questions, see if you're familiar, any of these people are familiar. Just shout it out if you recognize anybody up here. These are all folks from Ohio or that spent a lot of time in Ohio, business people. Anybody? Rockefeller, who said that? Who else? So that's Rockefeller on the left. What did he do? Standard Oil. His business was based in Cleveland on the flats, and his home was out this direction. I don't know which city, but it was out here. Anybody else? Who's that guy in the upper right? We're using a lot of his products right now. That's Edison. Edison's from Ohio. This guy here, who uses Gmail? Raise your hand if you use Gmail. So this guy invented Gmail. This is Paul Buchheit. He went to Case Western. So, and he left. There's only one person here that stayed in Ohio, okay? And I'll let you guess who that is. Well, actually, that's Rockefeller. I'll give it away. Who's this? No, nobody? This is Peter Lewis. This is the founder of Progressive Insurance. Okay? Who's that in the bottom right? That's Jeff Immelt. He's the CEO for GE, big company from Cincinnati. And this, anybody know what this is? No? It's a watch? Yeah, it's a watch. What's special about it? This is called the Pebble, and it's the first digital watch that was designed, not to hit the market, that will talk to your iPhone or Android device. So the idea is you have your smartphone in your pocket and you can carry this watch, and it can display the time, it can display the weather, it can display your text messages. It's a different fun form factor for a communication device. What's notable about this is the lead designer for that product went to Case Western. He posted a project on Kickstarter. Anybody know what Kickstarter is? No? So Kickstarter is a website where you can go and say, hey, I want to start a business, and I have this cool design for a t-shirt, or I have this idea for some software I want to build, and I need a little bit of money. I need $10,000, I need $100,000. And individuals will sign up and they'll send you money. And they'll send you money not as an investor, right? They're not investing in your company, they're buying your product. Very, very different. At the end of the day, you're sending them a t-shirt. You're not sending them a dividend check, or you're not sending them a return on their investment other than the object that you were promising to deliver. So the founder of, the lead designer for the Pebble went to Case Western, designed this product, put it on Kickstarter, and their goal was $100,000. Said, we need $100,000 to go manufacture this overseas. In fact, that was their plan, to manufacture it in Asia. What do you think happened? How much do you think they raised? $12 million. $12 million in less than a month, using Kickstarter, this new form of raising capital for a startup company. Also left Ohio shortly after they put this on Kickstarter, moved to the Bay Area. Last one here. Anybody know who that guy is? He may be the most well-known to all of you, maybe. So this is a good friend of mine. This is Craig Newmark. Does anybody know who Craig Newmark is? There's a website called Craigslist. Who's familiar with Craigslist? Okay, some of you. All right. So anyways, Craig went to Case Western Reserve, left after he finished graduating, did not see an entrepreneurial community in Cleveland or Ohio, went to the Bay Area and started Craigslist. It's essentially putting the newspaper industry out of business, and it is a phenomenally successful business. So those are some folks that are from Ohio. As I said, the majority of them have left. So our goal with Bizdom is to reverse that trend and really to provide resources for entrepreneurs to learn about the process of building a business, to get comfortable with the notion of failing quickly, trying lots of different things. That's really at the core of being an entrepreneur. Being at the core of an entrepreneur is about accepting uncertainty and ambiguity. It's about experimenting. It's about applying knowledge to try and advance your objectives, but accepting a high degree of failure. 1 out of 10 technology startups, the average is 1 out of 10 will fail. And so if you're involved in starting these kinds of businesses, you have to accept that. You have to accept that your combination of talent and energy may increase your odds, but you may be involved in 10 businesses until you have one that succeeds. Very different than going and becoming a doctor, lawyer, teacher. There's nothing wrong with those. Those are all important, critical careers. But being an entrepreneur is all about accepting failure and learning to experiment and learning to wear a lot of different hats. So our program, we encourage this culture of failing quickly and learning from your mistakes. We help connect individuals with investors. There's something called angel investors. Those are simply individuals that make investments as opposed to venture capitalists. Venture capitalists are firms typically that make investments, and they work differently. Our program, we connect our entrepreneurs with both types. And we are really keen on finding, recruiting the best and brightest from the colleges, universities around here. I am not here to encourage any of you to not go on to college or pursue your educations, but we're interested in passionate, talented individuals at all levels of their education. So we accept 16 businesses per year in Cleveland. We make up to $25,000 investments in each of them for a 3-month program. We accept 16 in Detroit, so 32 combined total each year. We'll continue to do this until we start to see, we're beginning to see some momentum and community being built, but until we start to really shift the climate and the tolerance for risk in these cities. So these are the kinds of things that we do in Bizdom. We typically have 100, 150 applicants, and we accept approximately 4 every quarter. So every quarter we're doing 4 new businesses, 16 per year. And when somebody is accepted, they essentially they go through an assessment. We figure out where they're strong, where they're weak. We look at their existing knowledge of business, finance, sales and marketing, law, broad swath of topics. And then we seek to shore up those areas where they might be weaker. And we also get very deeply involved in their business strategy. We figure out what they came into the program wanting to do, right? They wanted to make some software. I'll give you an example, real world example. We have 2 women that moved from San Francisco 3 months ago. They've been featured in The Plain Dealer. I'm on television recently. You may or may not have seen them, probably not. But their idea is simply a smartphone app that enables you to upgrade your tickets during an event. So let's say you're at a concert or you're at a Cavs game and you're sitting way, way up high, and you look down and you say, boy, well, nobody's sitting in those seats down there. I'd really like to sit in those seats down there. I'll pay a little bit to upgrade, right? Or maybe there's a suite there that's unoccupied and you'd like to pay a little extra to be in the suite. Well, you can use their app to do that. So we recruited them from San Francisco. They moved to Cleveland. They love it. They love living in Cleveland. And they're growing their business. In their case, they came in with that idea. We worked with them. We made some modifications to their business model, to the way that they're developing their technology, to the way that they're selling their technology. But the main thing that we're doing in their case is validating the path that they're on, helping them establish a plan for moving the business forward. And then we're providing with all kinds of training and workshops and connections with individuals in the region that have done similar things to them. We're giving them coaching, which is ongoing. It's myself and one other individual. We meet with them every week. We hold them accountable. We see if they're sticking to their plan, and we learn what's going wrong or going right, and we troubleshoot. We do training, which is not unlike sports training. Our training is once a week. They come in and they have to do a presentation like this. They do a much fancier job than I do, but they're given feedback. They practice public speaking, and then after they're done with that presentation, they do their sales pitch as though they were sitting with a customer, and then they're given feedback on that. Both of those are taped, just as this is being taped, and it's uploaded to the web, and they have to watch it before the next week, where they do their training over again. So the idea is after 12 weeks, they've gotten their pitch down to investors, and they've gotten their sales presentation down very tightly. And then the last 2 items are connections to industry and investor connections. So not every business needs to find investors. I give you the example of the Pebble. They didn't find investors. They went out and found customers to each pay a little bit to buy one of these $50 Pebbles. It's not a little bit, but many businesses do require investors. Our preference is that companies can grow based on their retained earnings, the money that they make selling their products or services. That's our preference. But we have 8 businesses that have raised additional funding besides our cash investment this year. And so we work very hard with the businesses to help them find those sources of funding, whether it's individual angel investors or venture capital firms or banks or what have you. And connections is probably, if you think of Bizdom or you're talking to about Bizdom with friends and family, the connections that we have by virtue of our relationship with Quicken Loans family of companies, these 70 plus businesses and related businesses that associate with those businesses, is really unusual, and it's very special. It's something that makes us very, very competitive with any of these similar kinds of accelerators throughout the world. And by that I mean, for example, the case of the two women, their company is called Mascot Secrets, the app that lets you upgrade the tickets. They came into the program in part because of the reputation of the program, in part because of the funding that they were going to get. But they also came into the program because they're developing an app that is sold to sports teams and sold to arenas. And we happen to be affiliated with an organization that owns an arena and several sports teams. And in addition, we have a company in our family of companies called Veritix. Veritix is in our office. They have an office adjacent to ours. And Veritix owns a product called Flash Seats. If any of you have ever purchased tickets to go to the arena, you've used this thing called Flash Seats. It allows you to buy your tickets and fulfill your tickets, get your tickets. So Mascot Secret, the two women from San Francisco, are working very closely not only with the Cavs, they're working with Veritix, this company that's in the ticketing business. Those kinds of connections you find as you go out, and those of you that start businesses, even not starting businesses, I remember when I was in high school, there was I think it was a debate, between is it what you know or who you know. My friends and I would talk about that all the time, and we thought there was, a right answer. It was one or the other. It turns out it's probably obvious. It's both. It's success in life, or pursuing your dreams requires both relationships and knowing people, and it also requires that you know what you're doing. Starting a business, I would say it's mostly about who you are, and by that I mean it's what you know to some extent. It's who you are as a person, your values, your attitude, your energy, your stubbornness, but it's equally, if not a little bit more, about who you know at the earliest stages. And that's simply because if you live in a vacuum, you operate in an area where there isn't support for the kinds of things that you want to do, whether that's becoming a lawyer or a teacher or an artist or an entrepreneur, if there aren't people around you that can really role model and validate and say, hey, here's the path that I took and you could take it too, or to give you encouragement and feedback, it's very difficult to get things done. Here's just some pictures of some of our mentors. We have over 200 mentors in Cleveland alone, and they have more than that in Detroit. We've got folks here. Rock Ventures is the overall company that owns Quicken Loans and the casinos and the arena and so forth. So we have gentlemen from there. We have a few folks from Quicken Loans and Detroit Venture Partners, which is a venture capital firm that's part of the family based in Detroit, obviously. So these are people that get involved in mentoring our businesses. Here we have some pictures of our entrepreneurs. We have this far 2 women that have moved from San Francisco. We have one founder that moved here from New York, and we have one founder that moved from Los Angeles. So our goal is to continue that trend. So I'm going to touch on some cool companies. I think they're cool. Quixby, they're also they're from Akron originally, but they've moved to Cleveland. We're big believers that areas are known for having awesome cities. Regions are a little tougher sell, and so we want to make Cleveland an awesome place. And if you haven't been downtown Cleveland recently, I can tell you, just having worked downtown for the past year, however you feel about gambling and casinos, I'm not a gambler myself, but when the casino opened, all of a sudden the city came alive. I mean, 24/7, you have people walking around and shopping and going to restaurants, and it's really a different place. And we're trying to add to that. So Quixby is a business that moved downtown Cleveland from Akron, and Quixby is 3 young guys, and they're gamers. Who's here? Who plays video games here? Yeah, a couple people. All right. So they're really, really into video games, and so what they're doing is developing. Who's heard of Steam? Okay, that's cool. I've just learned about Steam in the last couple months. So they're developing an alternative to Steam that really changes the dynamics, the relationship between a gamer and a game publisher like Electronic Arts, and gives a lot more control to the gamers. Whereas right now, Steam is more like iTunes. You get what you get, and they're changing the rules. That's what they're proposing to do. So they're one of our growing businesses. Firmly Planted is a departure for us. It's not a software company or technology company. But if everybody know what turf is? Yeah, it's that green stuff. And so one of the founders is a landscape architect. She is a landscape architect for television shows and movies in Los Angeles. And she developed this really cool product. It's basically a throw pillow. One side is fabric and the other side is turf. It sounds a little strange, but the turf that they use is really soft. And it looks like there's grass growing on a pillow. And when you have it in a room, it brings in some of nature, right? And so they started building on this concept, and they have all kinds of products. They've got these things that it's like a frame for a mirror, and it's all covered in turf. They have lounges for outside, and instead of a pillow, it's turf. And it's really cool. You look at it and you react and you go, that's just neat. So the question is, how do you make a business out of that? Can you make a business out of that? Obviously, you can make these things and sell them, but how much does it cost to make them? And how much can you sell it for? And can you make a reasonable enough profit to make it worth your while? Where do you manufacture these things? How do you distribute them and get them in the hands of customers in an efficient way? And so those are some of the questions and challenges that we're wrestling with right now. But it's a cool product. Safe Care is a service that, anybody have grandparents that are in a nursing home? You're probably too young for that. Yeah, no, maybe, okay, sorry. Anyway, so an issue that we have in America is we have baby boomers and their prior generation, and there's very large numbers of them that are aging, and they're aging into nursing homes, or they're aging into situations where they need care at home. Well, Lisette Rivera is the founder of Safe Care, and she had this idea. Her mother has MS, and she's in a nursing home. And she had this idea that she wanted a way to know whether or not the caregivers providing care for her mom were good people, and whether they had any background issues, right? So she developed this service, and essentially what the service does is it collects all this data from public sources of information across all states, and it organizes that information. It checks it against Social Security information and other identifying information, and it presents to a nursing home or to an individual consumer a constant snapshot about whether or not somebody caring for a loved one is high risk. Why is that important? Well, it's important because 1 out of 5 individuals caring for somebody in a nursing facility or long-term care facility commits an offense, a fireable offense, after they're hired, right? So what nursing homes do is they say, well, we're going to check everybody before they come in and see if they have a bunch of, problems in their history, right? They've burglary, assault, you name it, right? And so that works. So everybody coming into the system is clean. After they're hired, 1 out of 5 are committing these kinds of crimes, and they're not all being caught. So what the industry has done is they've chosen to spot check individuals, and they'd have to spot check a lot of people to catch the 1 out of 5. So Safe Care is a company that we're really excited about and doing something important. I mentioned Mascot Secret with the app. Wrapped is a cool company. If you get a chance, I know you're on the, I don't know if you're on the web there, but I think it's ra.pt. I'm not sure if it's up and running yet, but it's really cool. I'm not like into rap music, but the idea here, it's 2 guys that are really into rap. One of them's a rapper, like professional rapper, and DJ, and it's essentially, if you imagine 2 Skype windows that are open, and you're having rap battles online 24/7, and so you can get in line to battle somebody, and then people that are watching it are rating them. It's a wild idea. It's really popular, and so that's another one that's exciting. That one's out of Detroit. The other ones are in Cleveland. Here's a full list of all the companies that are in Bizdom right now. run the gambit. Okay, well, thank you very much. This has been a privilege to get to meet all of you and speak with you today. So, yeah.